I just want to, before we get started, just want to remind everyone that this is a remote meeting and teleconference using Zoom pursuant to 1 MRSA Section 403-A. You can access the meeting agenda and materials related to a specific project by finding the links in the abutter notice or on the homepage of the city's website under public notices at stanfordmaine.org. So welcome to the Stanford Planning Board's September 16th, 2020 meeting. The meeting will come to order. This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into an executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all of the exhibits that are offered. Please notify the chair if you are unable to hear or see something. The board works from a prepared agenda and will consider tonight's agenda in the following order. 1. New business file 16-20-R, Midtown Mall, care of Ian Housefield. Number 2, new business file R3-29C, Littlefield Retreat, care of Sebago Technologies. I was looking at your screen there, Molly, thank you. And number 3, new business file R12-81, HA Mates, Inc., care of Attar Engineering. Please note that if any planning board members have a potential conflict of interest of which they are aware, they will disclose the conflict prior to the board initiating a hearing or action on an application. All persons speaking will be asked to state your name and address and then proceed. At the sole discretion of the chair, public testimony may be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. For each item, the applicant will be asked to describe the project. Thereafter, the chair will ask for proponents of the project to speak, followed by opponents and those who neither for nor against, but who may wish to ask a question or make a general comment. Everyone who wants will have an opportunity to speak to the board through the chair. Any questions must go to and through the chair, who will then decide at which point to either ask staff or the applicant to respond. The chair may wait until after testimony has concluded to seek answers to any questions that are raised by the public or board members. Please note that rudeness, uncivil behavior, clapping, cheering, booing, etc. will not be tolerated, and if these behaviors occur, the chair, at her sole discretion, may terminate the hearing and reschedule it for another date. In addition, the chair, at her discretion, will limit repetitious comments, though it is entirely appropriate for an individual to indicate that he or she agrees with the previous speaker. Prior to closing the public hearing, the chair will ask if there are any new comments. Then the applicant will be allowed to make a single rebuttal in response to the testimony which was provided. Once the public hearing portion of the meeting is closed, the chair will accept no additional public comment. However, a member of the board, at the chair's discretion, may ask the applicant or a member of the public to respond to a question. This will not reopen public comment. Planning board decisions are based solely on whether an applicant has provided sufficient evidence to meet the requirements of local, state, and federal laws. In this regard, public testimony is most effective when it considers the impacts of a project in light of Stanford's subdivision, site plan, shoreland, or zoning ordinances, and other relevant regulations. After the board votes on the merits of each project, it will vote on written findings of fact. Since the findings may substantially affect any appeals rights and also a matter as courtesy, the board asks that those attending the meeting not leave until the board has adopted the findings for the project you are interested in. After the planning board makes its final decision, any reconsideration by the board must be made at the next regularly scheduled meeting. If anyone wishes to appeal the board's final decision, he or she must do so within 30 days. The city's ordinances and comprehensive plan are available for viewing on the city's website and in the Planning and Development Department office at 919 Main Street. Remember, this is a public proceeding. You have the right to hear and see as what is happening, and we welcome public participation. So with that, we need a roll call, please.
Chase?
Present.
Diane?
Present.
Lenny?
Present.
Jack?
Present.
Tom?
Here.
Crystal?
Here.
And Jennifer?
Present.
Madam Chair, all 7 members are here. You have a quorum.
Great, thank you. So we do have, I believe, one set of minutes. Are there any revisions that are needed to the minutes? I'm not hearing anything, so I'll ask if there is a motion.
Motion to accept. This is Jack.
I heard Jack, and I think I heard Tom in the background.
Jack can have the first. I'll second it. Tom.
And I just wanted to double check. I don't remember if everybody was at that one. I'm just trying to pull it back up. I don't know if anybody remembers offhand.
Yeah, everybody was there, Jennifer.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to double check. So let's take a vote then, please.
Jace?
Yep.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
That's 7-0 and the motion passes.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we will move into hearing and business. And our first item is new business file 16-20-R, Midtown Mall, care of Ian Hosteel. And Beth, if you wouldn't mind opening this up and orienting us, please.
Sure. So Ian Hosteel, on behalf of the City of Stanford, is requesting approval for an amendment of a minor site plan to make improvements to the parking lot at the Midtown Mall, and this is the upper lot. The property is owned by the city, and it's located at the intersection of Main Street and Washington Street, and it is in the downtown design district as well as the urban zone. The Site Plan Review Committee excuse me, did begin its review yesterday at its meeting. However, toward the end of the review, it became clear that there was still some unanswered or unresolved issues associated with the curb cut on Main Street, and therefore the Site Plan Review Committee tabled this item to give the applicant an opportunity to work out concerns that were expressed by one of the abutters. My recommendation is that if there are members of the audience who are here to speak on behalf of this application one way or the other, that you hold your public hearing. You are not allowed to take action this evening because the Site Plan Review Committee has not yet formulated a recommendation for you. What you can do is at least hold the public hearing, and after everybody has had an opportunity to speak, you could continue the public hearing. And I guess I would recommend October 21st as the specific date at which to continue the public hearing, take the item off the table, and to continue discussion. So again, just to repeat, I recommend that you hold the public hearing, continue it to the October 21st, and then table the item.
Are there any objections to that approach to handling this item this evening from the board? Okay, then why don't we go ahead then. Ian, would you like to briefly describe the project before we open it up for public hearing?
I would like to reserve my time for a later date. We want to make sure that we get it right with Partners Bank for what they need. And then additionally, this curb cut that we're in discussion about is tied to this larger planning partnership initiative with Maine Department of Transportation and some of the impacts on Main Street. So we want to make sure we get it right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ian. Okay, so with that, I will open the public hearing and ask if there are any members of the public who would like to speak in favor of this project this evening. Please use your raise hand feature if you need to. I'm not seeing anyone or hearing anyone. Is there anybody here who would like to speak in opposition of this project this evening? Again, please feel free to use your raise hand feature. Okay, and is there anyone who is neither for nor against the project who would like to make a comment? Again, I'm not seeing any hands. I'm not hearing anyone on the phone. So with that, we will continue we'll continue this hearing to the October 21st meeting and table the item to that October 21st meeting as well. So with that, I think we can move into our next agenda item. Oh, is there somebody?
Jennifer, I was going to suggest that you probably should have a formal motion to table.
Oh, my apologies. Thank you for keeping me straight there, Beth.
This is Jack. I make a motion that we table this.
Second it, Diane.
And we'll take a vote, please.
Jace?
Yep.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, now we'll move to the second item on our agenda, new business file R3-29C, Littlefield Retreat, care of Sebago Technics. And Beth, if you would please open this up for us. Did we lose you, Beth?
I'm sorry, I was on mute.
Sorry.
This is an inventory and analysis discussion for a proposed minor subdivision, 5 parcels with 3 tree houses, one of which is existing, and 2 hobbit homes. With any subdivision, you need to go through an inventory and analysis of the opportunities and constraints on the site, and I believe that the applicant is here prepared to make that presentation to you. The Site Plan Review Committee did review this item yesterday, and they did make a recommendation about, not a recommendation so much as did express or did identify several items that they wanted to bring to both the applicant and the planning board's attention, and that has been included in a draft set of, a site plan review committee recommendation that was emailed out to you and the applicant yesterday. With that, I believe that we have Peter Valcourt, as well as Craig Burgess here. There may be others that have come in, since I had a chance to take a look at who has made a presentation. I would suggest that we turn screen sharing over to the applicant so that they could get the plan up, and that you continue with your discussion. I will be keeping notes, and based upon your discussion, I will prepare a letter following review of this item.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we'll turn it over then to the applicant, or Sebago Technics. If you'd like to give us your presentation and the overview of your project.
Sure thing, thank you. My name is Craig Burgess. I work with Sebago Technics. Here on the Zoom call tonight is Peter Valcourt of Littlefield Retreat, LLC. Proposed is a 5-lot subdivision to be located off of Elm Street in Stanford. As you will see, the site is bounded by Elm Street and then Littlefield Pond. And then there are single-family residences on both sides over here as well. So the 5-lot subdivision fits well within the setting. The 5 lots, there will be eco-camps, eco-friendly camps, single-family residences constructed on each home. My client has gone ahead and constructed 1 unit on lot 1 of the subdivision, and that is actually an eco-friendly tree house. The other 4 lots will be developed in a similar manner, so very low impact on the overall site. The site inventory plan that I provided shows wetlands, which are shaded in this bluish purple color. There is 1 significant vernal pool on the site, which is central here. And then, of course, as I mentioned, you have Littlefield Pond over here. There are setbacks that are depicted on this plan from Littlefield Pond. The blue line here represents a 200-foot setback from Littlefield Pond. And then this magenta pink line represents the 250-foot setback from Littlefield Pond. As part of the process of developing this parcel, we submitted a site law amendment plan to DEP. And as part of the site law process, we've reached out to several regulatory agencies, including Maine Natural Areas Program, Maine Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, and the Maine Historic Preservation Commission. The Inland Fisheries and Wildlife identified a couple potential issues on the site, one being the vernal pools, which we went and had mapped last spring, which is shown here in the green. And then there is a Blanding's turtle habitat located in close vicinity to the site, but not on the site. So we've worked with Inland Fisheries and Wildlife and DEP to mitigate the potential for the Blanding's turtles to come across the site, and really the low impact use of this type of eco-friendly development. The driveways are going to be constructed close to grade, so it's not going to be big obstructions that can potentially prohibit the passage of the Blanding's turtles. In talking with the Maine Historic Preservation Commission, they identified the need for a phase 1 archaeological survey 150 feet from Littlefield Pond. But as you see here, the low intensity use does not propose any development within 200 feet of Littlefield Pond. So Maine Historic is open to us including a 150-foot covenant deed along Littlefield Pond to protect it long term. So with that covenant deed, Maine Historic and DEP are satisfied with that 150-foot setback. So that about ends my presentation with regard to the site inventory plan. As part of the application set, we submitted the full plans, which include the site plan, a grading utility plan, and stormwater management. And I believe that city staff has initiated the review of stormwater and other types of things of that nature. And we look forward to meeting with the board next time to discuss the larger development, and by then we also hope to have a DEP permit in hand. We're very close to receiving that permit. It actually should have been probably received this week, but the project manager from DEP is on vacation. So we hope to receive it next week or the week after. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. There was one piece of information that I forgot to relay to the board. After the memo went out, we realized that this property is located in a conservation focus area that's identified in the city's conservation plan. It's called the Littlefield Focus Area. There were 3 primary issues that were identified for the area. Some prime ag soils, although those soils themselves may not be on this site. It was a little tricky. It looks like they were actually just off the site. The second is that the parcel is located in the headwaters of the Mousam River, and it's identified within one of the large unfragmented blocks in York County. The bulk of it goes on the other side of the pond, extending into the adjoining community. I just wanted to get that on the record and give the applicant an opportunity to comment directly on that. I will underscore their comment that this is a pretty low intensity proposal. So I'm not offering this information as a discouragement, but simply as a point of information for you to have available.
Thank you, Beth. And I think I have it pulled up here on the screen. And if you go through and you read the conservation, the specifics of the Littlefield Pond focus area, I think this low intensity use of this type of subdivision fits well within this focus area. Again, it's a very low intensity use where we're preserving greater than 75% of the vernal pool habitat. We're not proposing any impact within 200 feet of Littlefield Pond, and then the lots themselves are going to have, DEP is going to require clearing restrictions, and that there are no formal lawn areas proposed. So it's really just areas that are cut to that don't have impervious surfaces will be reseeded with conservation seed mix and really just left to revert back to natural conditions, although they will be maintained. They'll be mowed less than 2 times per year. So with that said, does anyone have any questions about this project?
Yeah, open it up to the board for their thoughts if there's any questions.
Yeah, Madam Chair, this is Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Jamie brought up something about 200 feet, 200-foot width on each of the lots. Is that something that's still being hashed out?
Yeah, so the surveyor on this project, Line Pro Land Surveying, is aware of that, and I talked to Joe Stanley of Line Pro Land Surveying yesterday after the meeting, and we are in the process of adjusting the lot lines slightly to meet that standard. I don't think it won't have a major impact on this project. And with regard to the comment about the road frontage being slightly below the standard, there was an additional line in there that really wasn't clear in the plan, but that lot actually does have the 200 feet of road frontage that is necessary, but it was just, the plan is being updated to make that more clear. There was one line of the property that wasn't shown clearly.
So another question, are these lots being sold or just, I'm assuming they're rental because I think one of them has been on Airbnb already.
So Littlefield Retreat LLC will maintain ownership of all 5 lots for friends and family, and from time to time they will have Airbnb rentals for these units.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Anything else from others?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, please go ahead, Diane.
On previous projects that we've undertaken, we've had signs put up in regards to either the DEP rules or burner pools. Is there anything that's going to go up to prevent anyone anyone that might rent any of these units from tracking into the wetlands or the vernal pools or anything like that?
Littlefield Retreat LLC has clear guidelines and expectations for anyone that rents these units. And if anything were to ever happen with the wetlands, there would be a discussion with the renters. So far, Littlefield Retreat has had great luck. They have rented this existing, it's a tree house right here. Although I say it's a tree house, it's actually a very nice single family residence with bedrooms and a bathroom, and it can be rented through the winter time as well. So Littlefield Retreat has had great success so far, and where this one's located, it's located in close proximity to this wetland, although the natural wooded setting really minimizes people from getting down in there. And I would say that with a lot of these other vernal pools, the intent is to really maintain the buffers around these wetlands as much as possible so that renters don't go down into the wetlands.
Hey guys, this is Peter Falcourt. Can I make a quick comment?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Just to speak a little bit further to that too. So I'm also a property manager in Portland. So since we are going to rent some of these, the plan is I'm going to have one of my own. My partner Bryce, who's also on the paperwork there, he's actually moving to Portland from Colorado in the spring. One of these will be his. And he also has a sister that lives locally that will also have one of these, and then the other two we'll either have for family or we'll put on Airbnb. But talking to the town, a lot of our goals are similar. So your concern around wetlands and stuff like that, we do have rules as far as when people rent, they do have to sign off on, we don't allow dogs, so that would eliminate probably a bit of that concern of like dogs running into the wetlands or vernal pools and stuff like that. And then we even go as far as like there's no cutting of any wood. We actually have somebody down the street drop off wood for us, so it kind of eliminates the concern of people going inside that 200-foot marker and cutting their own wood. And then we even have a rule as far as using natural sun lotion, because we want to keep the pond in pristine condition and our forests in pristine conditions, because it's to our best interest as well. So we do have a lot of rules around it, as well as we've put up video cameras on site so that look at the parking lot. So we make sure like people aren't having parties there. There's a certain amount of vehicles there that they say they're going to have there, and then just make sure there's nothing destructive happening. That's all I got.
Does that answer your question, Diane?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah. Other thoughts, comments, or questions?
Hi, this is Lenny. I got one quick question.
Yeah, please, Lenny.
I was just trying to clarify something. I know I heard something about, is there more of this project to come later? Is this going to be built all at once, or is it going to be built in phases?
So, go ahead, Peter.
Our plan right now is we're hoping, if this approval goes along quickly, we're hoping by wintertime to put in the next build's going to be a buried hobbit home. So we're hoping we can get the building permit in immediately after approval and break ground before wintertime on this lot too. And we were going to try to do the next treehouse before winter, but if we get pushed too hard against wintertime, then it's going to wait until spring. But our initial plan was to do 2 builds right before wintertime, and then first thing in the spring to do the last 2 down on lot 4 and lot 5. And so we were hoping to be completely done everything by end of summer next year.
That's good. That answers my question.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not hearing a lot of concerns necessarily, and it sounds like recommendations that were made from the design review committee, have they've all been addressed now, or is there just the one outstanding item still?
So none of them have been addressed. Remember, there's no action on this item. It's just a conversation. But the issues have been put in front of the applicant and shared with the planning board. For the record, would you like me to review what the site plan review committee recommendations or comments were?
That would be great. Thank you, Beth.
Okay. The first is that this project will require minor site plan as well as minor subdivision approval because of the amount of new impervious area. It's not a lot. This is going to be a minor. That the application acknowledge the property is located in the Littlefield Conservation Focus Area and describe how the project addressed the impacts on conservation values addressed in the plan. And they've done that verbally here. We're hoping for something in writing as part of the subdivision application. The third is that it is clarified that various easements and deed restrictions by name and location will be on the subdivision plat that will be recorded at the Registry of Deeds. Remember that 2 of the 3 driveways are shared driveways for 2 parcels. So as with all other subdivisions or site plans that have a shared access point, there needs to be some type of easement as well as maintenance descriptions, who's responsible to do what and what will be done. That lot number 5 conforms to the mandatory 200-foot road frontage required to comply with the space and bulk requirements. And as Craig said, they apparently do. It's just not clear on the plan. That lots 1 and 4 maintain a minimum lot width of 200 feet from the high water line as required by the shoreline zoning standards, and that's what Jack was referring to. And then the fire marshal had a few recommendations that the applicant install NFDA 13D sprinklers in all of the proposed homes, that lots 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 widen the driveway split so that they can accommodate fire truck turnarounds to the satisfaction of the fire marshal. That's noted on the plan that an unobstructed overhead of 13 feet 6 inches on the roads be maintained to the satisfaction of the fire marshal. That the applicant achieve adequate site distance for driveways on Upper Elm Street to the satisfaction of the assistant city engineer. That the applicant acquire the site location of Development Act permit amendment that is reviewed by DEP, and basically they'll provide a copy of that at some point. That the applicant comply with the parcel deed restrictions based on DEP site location approval order 85-6534A-31230. That the applicant maintain the driveways all year to a standard that a fire apparatus can move safely over it. I guess we repeated one twice. So those are the general comments that came from the Site Plan Review Committee, which you can certainly pass on as your comments. You could pick and choose among those. You could add to them. You could eliminate some of them. But in general, that's what came from Site Plan Review Committee.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, can I ask one more question?
Of course, please go ahead.
I was listening to what Beth was saying, and to maintain clearance with snow and that. What about when, let's say we have a very wet winter like we just had with a lot of ice and freezing rain? How's that going to be addressed, i.e. with clearing, de-icing, that kind of thing? Salt is what I'm getting at.
Peter, would you like to address that one?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't think we've kind of thought about it that much and written anything down, but I mean, we have a local plow guy that maintained our lot number 1 tree house was running most of this winter. And we had a plow guy out there. Mostly, we use like a sand with minimal salt because salt's wicked expensive. And that's what I usually use in town doing property management. So I guess we haven't really discussed it. Usually most of the time we try to use sand when we can. And I mean, it being a gravel road kind of helps a little bit too, rather than tar and brick usually freeze up a lot faster. So yeah, that's all I really have for information right now.
My other question is campfires. How's that going to work?
Campfires were actually a concern for for us too. So right now we decided if anybody is renting, they're gonna want some sort of fire probably, because it kind of goes with the whole we're going out in nature deal. So one, we didn't put one inside of our structure because we didn't trust anybody, and then outside we have a very small tire ring, and then with a cover, and make it clear with the lease signing that all fires have to be in that ring. And then the other concern we had was one of the reasons that we're having somebody local drop off wood too is we discussed like the only elements that we can really control are if we minimize the size of the fire pit with the ring and we control the size of the wood, then nobody's going to have a big raging bonfire. So that's kind of how we looked at it. Smaller wood, smaller fire, and we have a cover for it, and we make people sign off that all fires are inside that fire pit.
Okay, thank you.
Other thoughts or comments from the board?
So this plan that I have up on the screen, this was put together to address the fire department concerns. And you'll see that we ran a traffic movement for a fire truck on the driveways to show that they could pull up, turn around, and pull out. So I believe we received the letter that he's satisfied with this plan to meet his concerns. And we're okay adding the tree clearance note on the plan. So we hope to reissue a plan set to the city fairly soon so that we can get back on a planning board agenda here shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other, is the board pretty in line with the points that were previously raised that Beth read off? Is there anything additional that the board would want to make sure is called out? Or are we pretty well all in alignment with what has already been laid out?
This is Tom. I'm good with what's been laid out.
Okay. Thank you.
This Jack, I agree. It's a cool project.
Yeah, I can't wait to see when this is done. That's very neat. Okay, so it sounds like the items that were raised previous, Beth, that you read off for us, it doesn't sound like we have anything additional that we would add to that.
I did take notes on the conversation about concerns about outdoor fires and about salt treatment of the driveway. So in general, I've kept notes on everything that you've commented on, and I can certainly add to the site plan review committee's list to add those additional items in as well.
Great. Okay, and anything else before we wrap up this item then? Okay. Sounds like we're good then.
Cool.
So thank you very much for presenting this evening. Looks very exciting.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thanks, you as well.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is new business file R12-81 HA Make Inc. care of Attar Engineering. Beth, if you would please open this up for us.
Okay. Hold on just a moment. I'm trying to find the right file. Alrighty. I opened the wrong file. Hold on just one moment. I'm almost there. Okay. One more. Let's try it. Hard to keep all these files open at the same time. All right. So I'm just going to give a very short. HA Mapes is proposing a zone change and a minor site plan to replace what's known as the J&S grocery store, which is on 432 Alfred Road. The property recently changed hands from Sean Shoemaker to HA Mapes, hence the change in name. A portion of the new store it crosses over from the RMU into what is the RR zone and I don't know who has got control of the screen right now, but you can point to this little piece of that goes over into that adjacent zone. They would not be able to do that in the RR zone, hence the request for the zone change to the RMU. The Site Plan Review Committee did review this application yesterday, and they did make a series of recommendations. A number of them are associated with engineering activities. There's some suggestions around or some recommendations that were coming out of the sewage district and the water district. In general, the recommendation was to the planning board is to approve the site plan. Obviously, the zone change is separate, and that will need to go to the city council, but the planning board will need to make a recommendation in order for that to move forward. Let's see. So clearly, if you're going to approve this project, it would be contingent on getting the zone change from the city council. I think beyond that, I do have some comments that were emailed to us that I will read into the record after you conduct the public hearing. But apart from that, I think I've said enough, and the applicant can present the project to you before you open the hearing.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Okay.
Can you all hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Michael Studak of Attar Engineering, here on behalf of HA Mapes Incorporated, and I can proceed with a brief introduction of the project. So as Beth stated, this is a replacement and new construction of the existing J&S grocery and deli. The screen you're looking at right now is the developed condition. I can quickly go over to the existing condition. So we have Route 4, Alfred Road, and Grammar Road here, and on the corner is the existing convenience store with two curb cuts in Route 4, one large curb cut in Grammar Road, as well as a former residential building that has been purchased and is intended to be incorporated into the locust parcel in the developed condition. As far as from a site perspective, the building is slightly larger. Existing is 3,200 square feet, proposed is 3,600. The site in its existing state is it has a good portion of impervious surface. We will be expanding upon that slightly, but if you notice, there's a couple large sections of what I'm going to call medians that we're returning to green space, to grassed area, removing one of the curb cuts on the Route 4 side and adding a small one on the Grammar Road side. From a utility perspective, this store will be serviced by underground electric, city water, and a subsurface wastewater disposal system here on the north end. And from a stormwater perspective, all runoff will be treated on site by 2 detention ponds. And let's see, I can't think of anything else offhand. I think that concludes my overview. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Okay, before we do that, I am going to open it up for a public hearing for the zone change, and ask if there's anybody here who would like to speak in favor of the proposed project. And then please feel free to use your raise hand feature. I'm not seeing anybody, so I will ask if there's any member of the public who would like to speak who's opposed to the proposed project. Again, I'm not seeing or hearing anyone, so I will ask if there's anyone who would like to speak neither for nor against the project, but who just would like to add a comment. Okay, again, I'm not seeing anybody, so I will go ahead and close the public hearing.
Madam Chair, may I read into the record the comment that we did?
Please. Yes, I'm sorry. You said that, and I totally forgot. Thank you.
No problem. This was an email received from Thomas Dupre on Thursday, September 10th, and I will read it as follows, and then there is a short follow-up after that. My name is Thomas Dupre. I live at 425 Grammar Road, Stanford, Maine. Please enter this for the record. When I moved here in 1983, there were 2 blinking lights at either end of Grammar Road. There was a grocery store with a few fuel pumps on the corner of Route number 4 and Grammar Road. Traffic was moderate on this residential road. I accepted that. Today, there are traffic lights at both ends of Grammar Road. Double-bottom lumber trucks, trailer trucks, and all types of vehicles use this road daily. Vehicles are using this road as an alternative to Main Street when traveling from Springvale through Shaw's Ridge Road to New Dam Road and beyond. Traffic is continually backed up across my driveway now. My concern is that it will increase with this proposal. Coming from Route number 4, Grammar Road is used by some as a high-speed takeoff ramp for about a half mile with 60 to 70 miles an hour plus speeds. Coming the other way, some traffic is doing 50 to 60 miles an hour in front of my driveway toward Route number 4. The speed limit is 40 max on most of the road. Many people have died on Grammar Road over the years. There is no room for error driving this road. A couple of feet on either side and your life is in danger. A tree, culvert, swamp, etc. with curves and knolls along the way. I think this proposed rebuild will increase traffic on the residential road. To my knowledge, there is no commercially zoned property on Grammar Road. The lot across my place would be the first. I do not want to live across the street from a store with multiple fuel pumps for trucks, vehicles, etc. I request this lot remain residential, build on Route number 4, where hopefully most of the customers will come from. I'm opposed to any more expansion on Grammar Road with this proposal to the planning board. Keep J&S Grocery where it is and let them expand down Route 4 toward the Alfred line. Thank you for your consideration on this matter. And if you'll give me a moment, I'll see if I can find the other comment. It's not showing up. Hold on, please. He continued at another time. I think it may have been in writing. Thomas Dupre concerns, people parking in front of my property at 425 Grammar Road, e.g. large tractor trailer trucks. Would the city help out with this? And then another sentence saying increase in traffic on Grammar Road. And then he signed that document. That's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there any other public comment before I close the public hearing? Okay, so I will close the public hearing and open it up to the planning board for discussion, or if there are any questions for the applicant.
Hi, Jennifer, this is Lenny. I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead, Lenny.
Can we point out 425 Grammar Road on this map, on this drawing that we're seeing here? Is it directly across from where the store is proposed?
That is a good question, and if I'm honest, I'm not entirely sure. If the gentleman in question, Mr. Dupre, raised concerns of tractor vehicles parking across his road, I would anticipate us. He certainly would be in a butter, but I do not know for certain.
I wasn't aware of the parking in the area.
So this is Beth. I did actually look that up. Craig, is there any is there anything on your sheet that shows parcel lines across the street? Do you have any one of your sheets? Does that show? No, it's not Craig. I'm sorry. It's Joe and Pen. Actually, I'm getting everybody's name wrong. I think it's Mike.
Yep. There you go.
But Mike, thank you. Sorry, Mike.
That's all right.
So I actually did look this up. And if you look at, I don't have control of the cursor, but if you go to the top of the parcel, right on your parcel, so right there, and you go across the street to Grandma, and then it's very, very slightly further to the top. So it kind of overlaps by, if you enlarge your square just a little bit, it kind of overlaps just the edge of that property, of your property.
Okay.
So if you brought that a little bit further lower, then I think you'd have it. So it's, about like that. Lenny, does that help?
It does. I'm wondering if maybe as part of this, can we make a recommendation that there are signs posted for no parking on the side of the road on Route 4? I mean, on Grammar Road to the approach to the store?
Yeah, I have.
Madam Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah, go.
I'll take
Mike?
the turn here, Matt. I'm sorry, go ahead, Madam Chair.
No, go ahead.
I'll speak when asked.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. As far as getting no parking signs, there's two ways we can go about that. We can check with the police department and also check with the city manager and councilors at something like the property subcommittee. And it might be able to be done without a formal ordinance change, or in other words, the list of parking prohibitions. One way or the other, if the board wishes to see that, we can put that request through.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. I noticed that too.
Other questions from the board?
Madam Chair, it's Diane. May I speak?
Yes, please go ahead.
I wanted to follow up a little bit on Lenny's comments. Having taken this route 3-4 times per week or so, I understand Mr. Dupree's problem. I have run into it when I've traveled Grammar Road approaching Route 4. I've been stuck behind logging trucks that have parked on Grammar Road on the right side approaching Alfred Road, and to get around them, sometimes you have to pass the double line, depending on where they pull over. They do park there quite often, and I believe his driveway is right opposite the last parcel, which is the R12-80A. It runs right across that area. So I can understand Mr. Dupree's concerns. My only other concern with this application is the corner lot, which is R1281, right on the corner of Grammar Road and Alfred. There are one or two poles that are still in the cement area. Where the stop line is on Grammar Road, if you're waiting for the light to either turn or go across to New Dam, there is a lot of parking that has taken place in the past. And if you're sitting at the stoplight and looking left to make sure that no one else is coming, you can't see. I noticed in the new plans that he's got parking sitting there. I would like to know if they could address that sightline problem at the stop line on Grammar Road.
Sure, I'd be happy to respond. So I've got the existing conditions plan pulled up right now, and I believe the pole that you're referencing is this pole right here on the corner. So this is Grammar Road proceeding southerly and Route 4 here. So this left-hand turn would be what you're referencing. And in the existing condition, this entire kind of void is all, to your point, impervious, and it doesn't surprise me that vehicles are parked in here. If I can keep that mental snapshot and go up to our developed condition, the parking you were referencing earlier is significantly removed from the intersection itself. This entire area is to be returned to green space. So where in the existing condition vehicles could park, within a couple feet of this this pole at the intersection, they'll be significantly removed from it in the developed condition. I think that where we have it proposed will not cause any sightline concerns.
Is there any possibility that you could put up a sign to tell the trucks or vehicles not to park in that grassed area, because you cannot see what's coming at you on your left if you're parked at the stop bar on Grammar heading towards New Dam?
Yes, actually, yesterday after the staff review committee meeting, Mr. Cashley raised a similar concern of his example was vehicles that perhaps missed this intersection or this entrance and then blew across the grass area to get in here and park or whatever. I am entirely in favor of having something along this edge, whether it be signage, whether it be if it's a landscape planting bed, if it's bollards, if it's something to the effect of preventing any sort of parking while not impeding any visibility at the intersection itself.
Okay. My other question, it's kind of vague. To my recollection, about 4 to 5 years ago, there was a fairly significant diesel spill, which I believe was a diesel spill, on the right side of the lot where the old diesel pumps K1 was. Can you speak to that, or am I misinformed?
I personally cannot speak to it. I don't have a history with the project going that far back, but a comment was, or a similar comment was presented by Matt Hill in his response document after the meeting yesterday, just for what type of policy or plans we would have in place along the lines of spill prevention. And I can't speak to a specific case study in history to this site, but just something to deal with. Hopefully it never happens, but to deal with potential spills in the future will be incorporated into the language that's associated with this development once approved.
Okay, I'll take that. My other question is, at the pumps, in regards to spills, are you going to have buckets of Speedy Dry available, or are people going to run around looking for stuff that's not there? Other stations have them, some don't. It just, it helps when there's an accident. The faster you get it, the less it spreads.
Sure. Yeah, happy to bring that up with my client and see what their policy is, and I can get a response to you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I ask one more question?
Yes, of course.
My other question was to do with the lights, with the new canopy. Will they be left all lights left on all night long at full intensity? Usually the surrounding area there has been dark. I know some lights have to be left on. I'm just asking if all the lights have to be left on all night long.
Sure, that's something else I can get a response to you for. I know the type of fixtures that are proposed for this development do encourage full shielding, so we want to limit the amount of light that sheds onto abutting properties and abutting roadways, while still making a safe environment for pedestrians from the fuel island to the store. But I can get you some more information on if they are to either to be reduced or to be shut off relative to the hours of operation.
Yeah, I'm not saying like not have any on. It's just that this area, yes, it should be lit up a little better, but I'm assuming that the neighbors around don't want to see all LED lights lighting up the whole sky all night long. That's all I'm getting at. Thank you.
Sure, understood. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, this is
questions.
this is
Yeah,
Lenny.
go
I
ahead,
got one
Lenny.
more question. Can you point out on this diagram where the signs are going to be?
Yes. Let's see. Actually, I have a detail sheet. So there will be a sign on the store itself above. There's a sort of a dormer here at the entranceway, and there'll be a sign above that. This is a very crude example of lettering, but something to that effect with a gooseneck light displaying the sign itself. And then the detail directly above that is a material and dimension detail for the sign itself, which will be on the corner. I can go back up to, it actually looks like it's, well, the article itself is frozen, but it'll be right on this corner. I'm sorry about that.
So there's a freestanding sign on that corner.
Yes, sir.
That will be illuminated?
That is where the freestanding sign is proposed.
Okay. And is there another sign that's going to be erected on the property that has like price of gas or whatever? Or is that going to be?
I'm sorry. That's the freestanding sign that I'm referring to.
Okay, so that's the only one on the property. Okay.
Aside from any kind of signage
anything on the building
that will be displayed on the building itself, yes, sir.
Okay.
Other questions or comments from the board?
I just have one more, Jennifer. Previous plans showed a grease trap area. Is that still going to exist?
Yes, that is up with the proposed dumpsters here to the north of the site.
Okay, is the old one being taken out, or?
To my knowledge, this is where the location has been through the plan set. To my knowledge, so.
I apologize, sir. I was looking at another map. You're correct. Sorry.
That's all right.
All set. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Jack. Andre from the sewer department requested that the grease trap, everything in there, run through the grease trap. So.
And your name again, sir?
This is Jack. I'm on the planning board. But Andre, yesterday at the site plan review committee, requested that everything run through a grease trap.
Okay.
Madam Chair, do you have any concerns about left-hand turns out of the applicant's lot onto Grammar?
I do, because I was thinking, when we were talking about the abutter across the street, I'm trying to visualize it. I was also thinking about myself trying to turn out of that in the past, and it's always a nightmare.
That's what I was getting at.
Mhm.
If I may, Madam Chair.
Yes, please go ahead.
So this was also brought up yesterday at the staff review committee meeting, and then subsequently, Mr. Casserly and myself had a discussion on the matter. We have a traffic impact assessment completed by Diane Marabito that was originally tasked with reviewing some of Mr. Dupre's concerns, the original one that Beth orated. And the results of that suggest that as some of the concerns from the board members here are showing, that even though both of the curb cuts that we are proposing on the Grammar Road entrances, I guess is the word I'll use, are farther away than in the existing condition, there still is not enough adequate sight distance. So the left-hand turn at both of those has been stricken from this plan set. And that's, we agree with the opinion of the traffic assessment. And if we wish to pursue making that a possibility at some point later, it would be through the opinion or a counter opinion from another traffic engineer. But as things currently stand, we hear the concerns of the city and of the board members, and we're in agreement on the left-hand turn contention.
Can I express a concern I have about the exit on the building?
Yeah, please go ahead. That's Crystal, correct?
Well, my name's Nikki. My daughter, unfortunately, sorry. But I live at 431 Alfred. And like it's very hard to get out of my driveway anyway. And I see there's a left-hand turn and a right-hand turn exiting the building onto Route 4. And as it stands without a store there, it's very hard for me to get out of my driveway safely. I often go onto Grammar and use the lights to be able to exit my home, but I park at the front of my building. So I'm just wondering, before the entrance to the store used to be directly across, and I'm very thankful that it's not going to be like that anymore. But I see the left-hand turn, and I know how the lights are and stuff, and I just have a concern about the traffic coming in and out, I shouldn't say out of on the Route 4 entrance and exit to the store.
Okay, thank you. Diane, back to your original question. I guess I was interpreting your question as when you're also so in addition to turning left out on, from Grammar Road out on to Route 4, and I think your question was about turning left coming out of
to Route 4, because if you're like, I mean, like I live directly across, and I do.
Excuse me. I was speaking to Diane, one of our board members. Thank you. So Diane, I think your original question when you brought it up was turning left out of onto Grammar Road, like as if you're leaving this property?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Yes, and that is in addition to turning left on Route 4. I agree that's also very challenging. I am always very challenged when I would try and turn out onto Grammar Road, turning left to go to the light. And when I'm looking at your screen here, I see the turn arrows coming out of the property. Are you only allowing a right turn there?
Yes, so
cars could only turn right onto Grammar. I just wanted to make sure I understood that correctly.
Yeah, that was
Madam Chair,
go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
Well, just that's in progress, and he is going to have to remove the left turn arrows. And we had a discussion about that a short time ago. So the plan is in progress. That'll be removed.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I got that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the issue is that when you look right, you can't see 400 feet. It's a 40 mile an hour zone, and we use the 1 to 10 or 10 to 1 formula for every mile per hour. It's that's 10 miles per hour per or 1 mile per hour for 10 foot of sight distance. Mm-hmm. They need to see. They're supposed to be able to see 400 feet.
Okay.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to have that turn.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Lenny. Can I jump in for a second?
Yeah, go ahead, Lenny.
Would it make sense? Maybe this is a good question for Mike Casserly. Would it make sense maybe to lower the speed limit? Maybe it is a little too fast coming up to the end of Grammar Road anyway. Would it make sense to bring the speed limit down to maybe like 25 or 20 or something?
Speed limits are really the jurisdiction of the state. And since the planning board or a member of the planning board is asking that question, we can certainly forward that question to Maine DOT. And on a road like this, in a neighborhood like this, I would always be in favor of asking that question. Sometimes lowering the speed limit, Maine DOT sees a variety of sides to that. They want their speed limits to be complied with. But I think we can ask that question, given that there's commerce here at this corner. I'll talk to Matt about that. We'll make contact with Maine DOT, Lenny, and ask the question. Bring it back to you.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Mike, can I jump in and make an observation?
Sure.
When you get onto Grammar Road from 202, it's 35 for a good, I'm going to say, mile or two. Then it turns to 40, and it never switches back, approaching Route 4. I'm wondering if, 35 would be better, 30, somewhere in there. Not as slow as 25, though.
Yeah, if it's 40, they usually
to drive down all of Grammar Road at 25.
Maine DOT looks at both sides of that question. I won't go through the things they go through to make sure they get it right. I'm surprised. I was surprised when I learned this, that they don't take it lightly to reduce speed limits. that can boomerang on you if your speed limit is too low. No one will adhere to it. So I think that's the question they have to go through and answer. They do speed studies if they're considering this and the like, and so they don't take it lightly. There was an accident, a fatal accident on that road a while back, and they did reduce that 40-mile speed limit kind of in the midpoint of Grammar Road to 35. And that did not result in a 40-mile-an-hour reducing the 40-mile-an-hour over near Route 4. I think it's a good question, and can point out the planning board's concerns about this and the residents' concerns over it. It also becomes a matter of enforcement with a 40-mile-an-hour or a 35-mile-an-hour zone. And frankly, I'm sure the residents can say that a lot of people will drive that road and not adhere to any speed limit. And that's the problem we have. The enforcement part is very difficult for the Stanford Police Department. They have put devices out there that will tell you what your speed is and speed limit is and your speed is, that type of sign. And as soon as they leave with it, the speed limits go back up. And unfortunately, it's kind of like that.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Is there not one of those data machines out there now, or has been in the last week or two?
For Grammar Road, I haven't been there very well.
Yeah, there's one attached to the poles.
They were moving it around last I checked into the different streets and intersections. So it's probably a good time as any to ask the question. Thanks for asking. I wouldn't be thinking about the whole limit of Grammar Road, just the approach, as you're getting closer to the store.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yep. I've written it down. Maybe in like a rumble strip or something.
That and no parking signs. Yeah.
I've written that down too.
Okay. Madam Chair, may I ask the applicant one more question, please?
Yeah, go ahead, Diane.
Have the tanks that are underground, are they new, old, have they been ripped out?
The tanks that are proposed in the developed condition would be new. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my other question is for Beth. How many handicap spots do they need? Did I lose you, Madam Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking Beth. I'm looking at the screen here. Oh.
I just answered the question, but I was muted.
Sorry, I thought it was
on the screen here, Diane. It says based on ADA, 19 spaces required, one of which must be an ADA space. 5%.
Okay, great. Thanks. I missed that.
Okay. Sorry about that.
I think we're all getting a little weary this evening, aren't we?
Okay.
So are there other thoughts, comments, or questions? Or before we move into findings of fact, are we ready for that? Or are there more discussion points?
There is one thing, this is Beth, there is one thing I did want to point out. It was in the memo that you received following up on the Site Plan Review Committee recommendation. Based upon the discussion yesterday of the project, it was observed that there were a couple of standards around the curb cuts that would require some waivers. And the first one is 280-14.5.2.3, and the second is 280-14-5.3.2.2, and then 280-14.5.3.3.2.1. So these, I'm going over those quickly because they were already written into the report. So in one case, what we're dealing with is that the curb cuts are wider than the standard of 26 feet. And in the other case, the applicant is limited to one curb cut per frontage on the property. And the ordinance does allow the planning board to waive those standards if the applicant can make a compelling case that it's needed to accommodate turning lanes or the level of traffic. And I just want to put that information in front of you and ask the applicant to step forward and to make their case. There was a written element that they did submit yesterday requesting the waiver, and that was forwarded on to you as well. But I thought it would be good for them to go on the record verbally to just present the response there so that you know that if in fact you're going to approve waivers, that it would include these waivers as well. And if you feel that they're justified.
That's a great point. Thank you, Beth. If you wouldn't mind, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. So to echo what Beth said, there was a formal written rationale that it sounds like all of you have in front of you, but I can summarize. This is the existing condition map in front of you, and the rationale summarizes that, you know, in the existing condition there are effectively 4 curb cuts for what is going to become the locust parcel. There's this curb cut for the former residential dwelling that has been purchased by my client, and then there is the 84-foot wide cut along Grammar Road and 2 smaller cuts along Route 4. Going back over to the developed condition, we have 3, so none of them are as wide as that 85 foot one that was previously along Grammar Road, and all of the curb cuts are pushed back from the intersection itself, which was a design concern that we wanted to pay attention to in regards to just making that intersection a little better flowing and a little more easy for vehicles to get in and out of this site.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yep, go ahead.
Well, just quickly, to add to what Mike said, this formerly was a wide open entrance on both Grammar Road and Alfred Road. And now they have created certain little driveways instead of one big driveway. And so I think Mike Sudek is, for the applicant, is trying to speak for being allowed to create these smaller entrances rather than these one big entrance along each side. And I wouldn't object to that if that happened.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Yeah, in my mind, it's almost similar to those instances where people have a non-conforming structure and they want to fix it, like there was a deck or something recently, and even though it was non-conforming, it was better than what was originally there. I kind of view this in a similar category. I don't know if other board members feel similarly, but okay. Beth, is there anything else we need to be sure that we address or speak about as a board before we move to the findings of fact?
No, I think you're all set.
Okay. Are there any objections from the board to move to the findings of fact? I'm not hearing any, so why don't we please go ahead, Beth.
Okay, if you'll give me just a moment, I have to make a few notes here. Point 11, 16, and 19. Okay, so the first 3 findings are related to not being applicable. 280-16-7.15 landscaping. The recommendation, and I'll give you all three, well, the recommendation is that this standard is not applicable as no landscaping is being proposed. The next one is, I think I just skipped one. Hold on a second, give me a second. 280-16-7.11 natural features. The recommendation is that this standard is not applicable because there are no sensitive environmental areas on the site. And then the third one is 280-16-7.19 airport encroachment. And again, the recommendation is that the standard is not applicable because the site is not in the airport zone.
Madam Shoreland, Shoreland?
And shoreland, I guess there's four of them. The fourth one, I'm sorry, is shoreland relationship. And again, the standard is not recommended, that it's not applicable. No improvements are proposed within the shoreland zone. So there are actually. Yep. I'm sorry, Jack.
Motion to accept.
Second, Tom.
Okay, is there any discussion before a vote? Okay, let's go ahead for a vote, please.
Okay, Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
And Jennifer?
Yes.
Alrighty, good. Then we have to go back to the top. 280-16-7.1, utilization of the site. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that the existing site is largely developed with impervious surface. Drainage will be maintained, preserved, and improved.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second it, Diane.
Vote?
Okay, Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
The next item is 280-16-7.3, 280-16-7.2, access to the site. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is with the condition that exiting traffic onto Grammar Road will be right turn only, and it is reflected on the plans. The standard will be met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jack.
And a vote?
Chase?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes. Sorry about
You
that.
there, Crystal? Oh, no worries.
Okay, yeah. And then Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. The next one is 280-16-7.3, access into the site. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is, with the condition that the traffic impact analysis notes and plan sheet notes regarding site distances be corrected so that the two documents are consistent and that plans show curbing or other appropriate hardscape construction where existing entrances and exits are proposed to be closed as referred to in the traffic impact analysis to the satisfaction of the city engineer, and waivers of 280-14.5.2.3, 280-14-5.3.2.2, and 280-14.5.3.3.2.1 regarding the number and width of proposed curb cuts is granted, the standard will be met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second it, Diane.
Linda, vote please.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
and Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. The next one is 280-16-7.4, internal vehicular circulation. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that the project will provide for safe movement throughout the site and will provide clear routes for delivery vehicles and emergency vehicles.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jack.
And a vote please.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. The next one is 280-16-7.5, pedestrian circulation. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that on-site pedestrians associated with retail will be provided safe access between parking areas and structures.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jack.
A vote please.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. The next one is 280-16-7.6, stormwater management. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that HydroCAD model notes show accurate percentage of proposed impervious conditions and being reflected on the plans, and that HydroCAD model notes show accurate range of curve numbers on site to the satisfaction of the city engineer. The condition is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second. Diane.
And a vote please.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. The next one is 280-16-7.7, erosion control. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that a first-hand soil sampling and analysis be performed to verify that the project area is capable of detaining storm values and erosion control to the satisfaction of the city engineer, and that the applicant arrange work such that flushing and testing is able to occur and does not damage landscaping or erosion control measures to the satisfaction of the superintendent of the water district, the condition is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded. Diane.
And a vote please.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. The next one is 280-16-7.8, water supply. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that public water supply for domestic and firefighting serves the area and shall be provided as necessary.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jace.
Oh, sorry. A vote please.
Yes, Jace? Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. The next one is 280-16-7.9, sewage disposal. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that all sinks be connected to the grease interceptor, the condition is met.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Ooh, I think Diane beat you on that
I heard
one, Tom.
Diane, yeah.
Do you want to make a second?
Second, Tom.
Okay. Are you ready for a vote, Madam Chair?
Vote, please, yes.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
and Jennifer.
Yes.
Vote passes 7-0. The next one is 280-16-7.10, utilities. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that the plans show the relocated electric utility connection that is referenced on the plan sheet notes, the condition is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second it, Diane.
Vote, please.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. The next one is 280-16-7.12, groundwater protection. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that a petroleum management plan be put in place to directly let me edit this just for a second. With the condition that a petroleum management plan be put in place to guide response in the event of a major spill on site, so the petroleum will not flow directly into detention or infiltration ponds to the satisfaction of the city engineer, the condition is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jack.
Vote, please.
Okay, I'm sorry, did Jack get the second on that one?
Yes.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. The next one is 280-16-7.13, exterior lighting. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that exterior lighting associated with proposed development shall be capped, shielded, directed downward, and retained on site.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second it, Diane.
Vote, please.
Jace,
Yeah.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. 280-16-7.14, solid waste disposal. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that solid waste and hazardous materials will be collected on site and appropriately disposed of in conformance with state and local laws.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Crystal, second.
Vote, please.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
The next one is, I'm sorry, it's 7-0, the motion passes. The next one is 280-16-7.17, technical and financial capacity. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that the applicant has demonstrated adequate technical and financial capacity.
Motion to accept. Tom.
Second,
Second.
Diane.
A vote, please.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal,
You there, Crystal? Look, did she? I think she must have accidentally dropped. I don't see her in the list. So hopefully she comes back in.
so Jennifer,
Yes.
and Molly, any chance that Crystal's getting back in?
I don't see anything from her.
Okay, so I'm
Hey,
just, that's a 6-0 vote, it passes.
Hey, Beth, did we miss the
Yeah.
next one, buffering under NA?
I was just going, yeah, it should have been under NA. I just noticed that myself, and what I'll do is just, we'll do a separate vote on that.
Okay.
280-16-7.18 buffering. The recommendation is that the standard is not applicable. There is no buffering proposed in the project.
Motion to accept. Tom.
Second it, Diane.
A vote, please.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Crystal. Is she back in?
It doesn't look like it yet, no.
Okay. And Jennifer.
I have Crystal rejoining the chat now.
Okay.
Oh, good. Okay.
Jennifer, why don't you go ahead and vote, and then we'll go back to Crystal.
Okay. Yes.
So, Crystal, we are voting on 280-16-7.18 buffering. The recommendation is that the standard is not applicable, and the explanation is that no buffering is proposed.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And so we need your vote.
Your vote.
Yes.
Okay, good. Motion passes 7-0. So that takes care of the findings. Would you like me to read a draft motion?
Would you please, Beth? Yes. And then if there's any updates needed after that, that would be great.
Okay, good. Let me just make sure that I've got the right file open. Yes, okay. The site plan, excuse me. The suggestion in motion is that hold on, I'm trying to get myself cleaned up here, that the planning board accept the information in the September 15, 2020 summary memo, grant the requested waivers, and find that the proposed amendment to the minor site plan and amendment to the zoning map to replace and reconstruct an existing store and expand the facility to include a convenience store, fueling islands, and associated parking located at 432 Alfred Road in Stanford has satisfied the requirements of Article 16 of the zoning ordinance, subject to the submission of the information and conditions described below. 1, by October 7, 2020, unless other arrangements are made with the planning director, provide 5 copies of revised plans to the planning department that adequately respond to issues raised in the review, which are part of the following conditions of approval. A, that a Knox box be installed on the proposed building next to the door. B, that the proposed plans show the relocated electric utility connection that is referenced on the plan sheet notes. C, that the plans show curbing or other appropriate hardscape construction where existing entrances and exits are proposed to be closed as referred to in the traffic impact analysis, and particularly in the vicinity of the intersection to discourage parking in that, oops, hold on, I just lost my screen. To discourage parking in the green area and blocking visibility of motorists entering the intersection. D, that proposed exiting traffic onto Grammar Road be right turn only and that this be reflected in the plans. E, that the traffic impact analysis notes and plan sheet notes regarding site distances be corrected so they are consistent. F, that the proposed HydroCAD model notes be checked and rectified to show accurate percentage of proposed impervious conditions. G, that the HydroCAD model notes and plan sheet notes regarding area of proposed impervious be corrected so they are consistent. H, that the proposed HydroCAD model notes be checked and rectified to show an accurate range for curve numbers for the site. I, that a first-hand soil sampling and analysis be performed to verify that the project area is capable of detaining storm volumes to the satisfaction of the city engineer. J, that the applicant develop a petroleum management plan to take precautions in the event of a major spill. Let me edit this just a second, please. That the applicant develop a petroleum management plan to establish procedures in the event of a major spill on site, so the petroleum will not flow directly into detention infiltration ponds to the satisfaction of the city engineer. K, that all sinks be connected to the grease interceptor. L, that the existing water service lines on the opposite side of Grammar Road be shown on the plans. M, that the location of the water main on Grammar Road be shown accurately, parentheses, it is currently shown as being on Alfred Road, end parentheses. And that the proposed utilities and structures adhere to a 10-foot minimum horizontal and an 18-inch vertical separation from any water infrastructure. O, that water service lines maintain 5.5-foot buried depth below finished grade. P, that materials for and installation of all water mains, water services, meter arrangements, and backflow devices must be the Stanford Water District standards and to the satisfaction of the Stanford Water District. Q, that all new or dewatered water lines larger than 2 inches in diameter must be tested and disinfected in accordance with AWWA C600, AWWA C651, and all Stanford Water District standards to the satisfaction of the Stanford Water District. R, that the applicant arrange work such that flushing and testing is able to occur and does not damage landscaping or erosion control measures. The applicant will coordinate timing of the test so as not to interfere with other work on the site, and that all testing and disinfection is the responsibility of the applicant. 2, that it is required to obtain that the applicant is required, I'm sorry, I'm editing while I'm reading, that the applicant is required to obtain the building permit within 1 year from the discontinuance of the pre-existing non-conforming use, or the use is no longer considered pre-existing. 3, that approval of minor site plan amendment is contingent on receiving the zone change request from the City Council. 4, to provide an AutoCAD submission tied to the main state coordinate system, which is acceptable to the Assistant City Engineer. 5, to set up a pre-construction conference with the Code Enforcement Director and the Assistant City Engineer. And 6, this approval is dependent on and limited to the documents and plans contained in the application submitted and affirmed to by the applicant. No project plan or development previously approved by the Planning Board may be altered or modified without securing prior approval of the Planning Board in the form of an amendment, provided, however, that if at any time it becomes necessary or desirable to make modifications to the development, the Planning Director may approve minor modifications. Any changes to the approved plan shall be provided to the planning department prior to construction to evaluate whether an amendment of the approval is required. The applicant shall be aware that non-compliance with this condition may require modification of construction elements that are not consistent with the approval, may delay release of all or portions of a performance guarantee, and may result in delay in receipt of a stock work order. That's it.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Was that Jack?
Tom.
So was
Yes,
that Jack and Tom?
Yeah, that was Jack and Tom.
Okay. Any discussion, or do you want to go to a vote?
I have a question.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute this whole time. I was trying to ask if there was any. Go ahead, Diane.
My question is to Mike Casserly. We have a city moratorium on roads. What's the moratorium on the pavement on Grammar Road?
It's unless it's a special situation. It's 5 years. I think that was paved as a not a Band-Aid, but a thin overlay.
So it's an overlay in 3 years, right?
Well, it's going to be something like that. This was a really thin overlay, and it may be 3 or otherwise maybe 2, probably 3. And I think it's been 3 years
Okay.
since that was worked on.
Okay, I just wanted to double check that. Thank you.
Yeah,
All set, Madam Chair.
Okay. Do we have, before we vote on it, I just have a question about how the no parking signs would play into this that Mike was going to double check on. Should those be added?
Because it's not something that's placed on the applicant, that would be a separate issue that the city engineer would approach DOT about that, and or DOT and or the city council.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any other questions or discussion before we go to a vote? Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote then, please, Beth.
Jace?
Yeah.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Yes.
Jack, thank you. Tom?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
It's unanimous, 7-0.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a great night. Okay, so let me come back to our agenda. I think that now brings us to the planning director's report.
Just 2 small items following up on the last meeting. I have prepared a memo to the city manager regarding 93 Lebanon Street, and the item has been submitted to appear on the city council subcommittee, zoning subcommittee meeting at, give me just a second and I will have the date for you. It's our October 13th meeting, and I know you wanted to have that notification of that date, so that is the date, and a copy of that memo has been sent to you. The second is I am in the process of finalizing the recommendations for the use of the downtown legacy money, and that will be posted, proposed to be discussed at the City Council's property subcommittee meeting on October 13th. And I think that was actually the one you wanted to be made aware of. When I finish that memo up tomorrow, I'll make sure that a copy of it goes to you. And that's all I've got to say.
Great. Thank you, Beth. Is there anything from anyone on communication? Okay, so I think we'll adjourn the formal meeting and move to our work session. Unless there's anything else from anyone. Oh, sorry.
We need a motion. Motion to adjourn.
Second,
I will